Yeah, that's right. I feel a little cleaner this time. Fresh shave too, like
Day on the field.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. How you doing, guys? Yeah, good to be back here with you.
Just curious, a couple weeks out, what about this time that you really love, and you probably love it all, but what do you like a little less?
Great question. What I like less is I don't see my wife and my kids as much. Right? Even in like preseason camp is harder because I mean we're going 7 days a week. We're going 6 a.m. till 10 p.m., 10:30 at night. Where in season, Thursday night's a little less. A home game on a Friday, I see them Friday evenings, right? A home game on a Saturday, I'm seeing them Saturday morning, or if it's a night game, or if it's a noon kickoff, right? So that's what I miss, right? That's what I like the less. After coming off vacation where I was with them 24/7, right? What do I like? Seeing those guys. Because what do I miss when I'm on vacation 24/7? Those guys. Being around the guys, being around the team, but also in this phase, right? Camp is about building. Right, what are we building, right? How are we working to separate ourselves? And we're kind of in a week of separation right now of, jobs are being earned, right? So within, position groups, within, units, side of the ball, within the team, but also as a team. How are we handling this week differently? Because everybody's in the lull of camp. Everybody's in that, practice 14, 15, right? Game's still 2 weeks away, right? How can we as a team separate ourselves as other people maybe are just going through the motions a little bit, right? We talk a lot about, it's not about what you do, it's about how you do it. Everybody's doing walkthroughs, everybody's lifting in the summer, everybody's doing OTAs. It's not what we're doing, it's how we do it. So how are we separating ourselves this week? That's the fun part.
I get it, thank you.
Yeah.
The position group had a ton of turnover over the
Sure.
last season. It's sort of a bird's eye view. Where did the chips fall now that fall camp's progressing?
Yeah, great question. Don't have a great answer. And there's some good things about that and bad things about that, right? That, really right now it's challenging those guys to separate themselves, right, within the room. How are we separating ourselves? How are you separating yourself to earn a job? Right, and the biggest thing for a lot of those guys, I think within the team, it's not, so many guys have shown flashes of why they're here. Right, now let's go be consistent in the performance of details and doing your job, right, to go earn the job. Right, and that's really the challenge for how can guys separate themselves right now? It's not that we know that you can't do it. Guys are here because we know they can. It's the consistency of performing and executing with details, right? And then again, how you do it. Standard Coach Rossi talks about all the time, right? Just absolute elite, extreme effort. Say again. Yeah, just a big, strong, rugged dude, right? I think Cam Williams is a lot the same way, right? They're different body types, right? You're always looking a little bit like as a carpenter. You got different tools in your tool belt. I think I've talked about that with you guys before, right? Isaac Smith and Cam are, big sledgehammers, right? Anelu Lafayette, right? It might be a little bit different of he's a skill saw, right? You know what I mean? So you got different, tools for different jobs. But Isaac and Cam, both just big, strong, rugged dudes. I met with all those guys before we started camp. What am I looking forward to seeing out of you guys? What do we need to see out of you? And I told both those guys. They got here, late May, early June when we started workouts as a team. We were doing a bunch of underwear Olympics out there, right? Workouts in T-shirts and shorts. I told both of them, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys put pads on, right, and going and playing football. So I think both those guys, have that type of big, physical, rugged presence. Both those guys put on over 20 pounds since they got here in June.
Did they show up in the scrimmage?
Yes, 100%. 100%. Steven, sorry, yeah.
No, you're good. I was going to ask about the same guy. So how about Gillison? He's got his hurt, I think, last year. Gilly's a little bit, right? Different guys, different jobs, right? Gilly's a little bit your multi-purpose tool, right? Has a little bit of physicality, has a little bit of power to him, but it has a little bit of speed, quickness, agility to him too. So he kind of, just that, Leatherman tool you can pull out of your pocket, right? A little nod to my brother-in-law. Actually, his last name is Leatherman, so. But he's like that little Leatherman tool, right? That, just has a little saw on it, has a little knife, has a little screwdriver, right? Kind of, jack of all trades, do a little bit of everything. Santiago, we're talking like a crowbar at this point?
Yeah. He probably falls in that same world a little bit, right? Has some physicality, has some stuff. Again, another guy, when he got here, and I know you guys are going to talk to David in a little bit, but I think David reported here is like 220, low 220s. He's 255 now, right? Put on 35 pounds. So just development. Nod to Coach McDonald. Nick. Nutrition. Just what they've done with these guys and their bodies and transforming them. Right. Excited now. It's like I said about meeting with those guys. Getting ready to let's go play.
Was
Yeah.
And Jonathan mentioned about the kickers battling some
Yeah.
injuries right now.
Yep.
I guess, how much are you able to get done on special teams? And, you know, when you're 2 weeks out from a game, like, what do you need to see? Not so much you want to see, but what do you need to see?
I think it's really the same thing, back to the position battles. It's consistency. You know, guys that can go up, right? You know, everybody, you know, this old coaching adage, right, thing that the best ability is dependability and availability, right? You know, can we be dependable and available? But for those guys, it's getting to that point where they're really available and dependable, but, you know, whether that's, you know, from a physical health standpoint or a details execution, right? Dependable and available.
How have you guys been able to juggle that? You know, with
Yeah, Blake Sislow's done an awesome job coming in here, right, and really seen a lot of growth and development out of him. So it's allowed us really to have no hiccups in the operation. But even in preseason camp, so much of your special teams is still about core development, right? Details, fundamentals, right? You know, building those things, right? You know, we have jugs machines out there that can shoot that thing 70 yards right on the kickoff, and we're fine. You know, we can go cover and do what we need to do. So those guys are going to be good, right? They're, you know, seeing progress in them every day. They're going to be in good shape, ready to go.
he's obviously coming back.
Yeah,
from a significant injury.
yeah. It's a very significant injury, but, you know, definitely seeing, again, his progress. You know, that ACL is a real thing. You know, it takes time, and, you know, every guy responds to that. But, you know, I think he'll be ready to rock and roll when it's time to rock and roll.
Chad, would you guess you might use 2 kickers, one for kickoffs and one for places?
I think that's still to be determined. Yeah, good question. You know, obviously, you know, you look at Tarek, right, has been in games for us, right, and see reliability and dependability. You know, allow Coach KB to talk about a little bit more on the place kicking side of it, but I've seen those guys really in a good competition, certainly through camp.
You would always carry 2 kickers.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you have to have them. Yeah, have to have them.
Do you think long snapper is a little bit overlooked as a position? Because I felt like at times last season it might have been.
Sure, 100%. Yeah, when Caden went down, right, we suffered some consequences from it. You know, so yeah, it's those guys are a little bit like O-line. I know you guys are talking about Holocheck, right? A little like, right? Nobody talks about them until something doesn't go right. You know, they're kind of those unsung heroes. If it isn't going right, you notice them. If it's going right, nobody says a daggum thing about them.
I think you guys worked with Sam last year.
Yeah, Sam's always, dependable, reliable guy. And we've got another group of guys. We've got some good athletes on our football team.
Who were the guys, just, you know, in case of an injury,
Yeah.
in case of, you know,
Well, first of all, Jack Wills has done an awesome job coming in, right? Really, a lot of confidence in Jack. You know, highly rated recruit out of high school here in state. You know, love the fact to get a young man like him an hour away over there in Hudsonville. Jack's done. But I mean, guys like Brendan Perchek. I mean, you know, Leonard Ayu, right? Just, you know, some really good athletes can just put their head down there, flip it back, and you're like, doesn't look that hard. You know, then you go try to do it, and it's like, wait a minute, that's way harder than you think it is. So we got a good group of guys and they're working at it almost every day after practice. Just so if, you know, bomb ever goes off, you're always ready for it.
the coverage side of that, from a long snapper, because I think back to like Tabor Pepper, I mean, that was
Yeah.
something that, like, he was able to get downfield and make tackles.
Sure.
In that position.
Yeah.
I mean, is it more about delivery, or how much does that play in?
First job of punt is get the ball kicked, right? That's first job. So, right, the first priority is, right, snap execution. But if you got a guy, again, Jack Wills is a great example. I mean, played tight end on his high school team, you know, that has athleticism, get down there and, you know, have an impact on it. I mean, you know, now you're starting to stack chips a little bit.
What about athlete? Like, it seems like he accomplished a
Yeah.
lot last season. Now he's coming back. Where's the bar set for him?
Sure, I think for him, it's just in a lot of the situational things, okay? All right, what type of punt do we want in there, right? Is this a flip the field punt? Is this a hang time situation, right? Obviously, you get into your pin territories, right? Or is this this returner, man, this is a location day. I think that's kind of the next step for him. It's just, again, what types of kicks? And we're practicing that even on our scripts. Like, we'll give him, hey, we got this call, we're working this kick. We want this type, right? We're kicking this direction, but we want this type of kick, right? So that mental game for him. And Joe Begnall's doing a great job with him and some game situation stuff. Right, they're working as specialists, just putting them in game situations. So when the moment arises, the moment's not too big for them, and they've gone through all those mental processes.
Is that teaching with a punter with a big leg?
100%. Not everything needs to be a 60-yard bomb.
Yeah.
Right, sometimes 50 yards in that
From an
location is.
education standpoint in that, I mean, because guys just want to go out, it's like hitting your driver almost.
Yeah, 100%. That's exactly it, right? It's like sometimes it's like, hey, I need to play the 3-wood, I need to play the draw, I need to play the fade, right? Like, it's very similar to, like, what's the shot selection for those guys?
Coach Laney kind of talked about this, but how do you keep them disciplined when going against a mobile quarterback like AU
Yeah, that's right. We've talked about this before, right? Every week is a unique rush plan, right? You know, you played Castellanos from Boston College. It was a different rush plan, similar to, you know, the kid that was at Florida Atlantic compared to Callie and McManus from Rutgers, right? You know, different rush plans for those guys. So, you know, Aiden, you have to have some of that rush mentality, rushing 4 as 1 for sure. You know, you can't get past levels of the quarterback. Am I able to counter at depth, right? Those things, because, you know, you give that kid a crease. Right? And he's a little bit different even than Castellanos because, you know, he's sitting there, whatever he is, 6'4", 225 pounds, and, you know, different athlete, you know, running through there too. So, yeah, but that's a great thing for our guys in camp is to be able to have that rush discipline for sure.
We've heard a lot about Alessio too.
Mm-hmm.
He's a little more pocket guy.
A little bit. He's a sneaky athlete though,
But
right?
does that give you guys a different look?
It does. It does, right? Yeah, absolutely. As you go through camp, that's what you're right. Camp's all about preparing for the season. Right, and so to be able to see different types of quarterbacks, it prepares you for different types of season. And no different, like, you know, we talk about the running backs. Okay, right, you know, you got running backs every week, right? That's a thunder and lightning guy, right? This guy's a bounce out guy, right? Or this guy's a pounder, right? Like, well, I got to play those, right? A base block a little bit differently against the pounders, right? I got to sit on it more, and right, I got to play a base block a little different, right? Than the guy that's going to bounce and cut, you know. So it's good, you know, from our backs, you know, to be able to see those type of things, or the quarterback, whoever that is.
When you have a lot of the new faces, I know we just talked about earlier, I'm curious when you have stats like last year, I think it was 2 sacks in the final 8 games or
Yeah.
something like that. How personally do they take that when it's not really
Yeah,
there?
I take it personal, I'll tell you that much, right? You know, and, you know, Coach Rossi, I know, has talked to you guys too, right? It's really, you know, 3 things. One, personnel. Right? The room turned over a little bit, right? That personnel driven, right? You know, Anelu Lafayette, right? I mean, this kid's got juice. He's got juice. Okay, excited to watch him, right? And how we build, right, and work with him through the season. But, you know, Anelu's going to rush differently than Isaac and Cam, right? And I spent time, you know, preseason camp grabbing all these guys after the walkthroughs at night, and right, each one of them, right, or let's sit for 30 minutes, watch, right, build your individual plan, right? Even today, in, you know, individual period, I had a period, like, it was a you call it period. What are you working on? Right, and they do a drill for that, right, and we'd work in different situations because, you know, Santiago's going to rush different than Gilly, and Gilly's going to rush different than Cam, and so, right, let those guys, again, those different tools in the tool belt, but they got to be able to build for what their strength is as a pass rusher.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
absolutely, guys.
Thank